Rear Admiral Jamie Barnett and more than 100 retired generals and admirals warned of the problem 2 years ago. In a new follow-up report, Still Too Fat to Fight, they contend the military is working harder than ever to find eligible recruits.
Hi folks, and welcome back to The Storm and Cellar. Now I must admit, this story even shocked me. According to several news sources, almost 7 out of 10 U.S. military personnel are either overweight or obese. This boggles the mind that the once great U.S. military has fallen into the depths of self-destruction. According to the American Security Project out of Washington, D.C., they said this growing trend could compromise military readiness and undermine national security. Okay, so one has to ask, what in the heck happened here? I mean, does the military leadership not care about maintaining physical standards, which will be critical in combat situations? Is the military leadership so self-absorbed with CRT and LGBTQXYZ training that it's lost sight of combat effectiveness and requirements? Maybe recruiting so bad because no one really wants to join a poorly led, poorly focused, and poorly supported military that they'll recruit anyone who can breathe. Maybe it's all of the above. The American Military Security Project study comes at a time when the U.S. military is struggling to recruit qualified young Americans. According to recent Pentagon data, less than 25% of Americans between the ages of 17 and 24 qualify physically and academically for military service. Compare that to World War II, where 71.4% of that age group was fit for military service, and only 28.6% was 4F, or unfit for duty, and mostly for serious physical problems. Get this, only 1.37% of those were overweight. Today's numbers are horrendous, and I, quite frankly, see no real solution anytime soon. Apparently, the military is at a point in history where they'll accept anyone in the services. I'm sure it probably goes like this with recruiters' questions. Are you able to walk or breathe or any combination of those? Okay, in 2022, the U.S. Army was 25% shy of the required recruitment goal. So what did they do to fix the situation? They raised the age of requirement for recruitment and started a program to counter obesity. The Army and Navy adopted physical courses for potential recruits to get them in shape so they could even qualify to serve. To me, the military is doing what parents and schools should have been doing all along, and that was to ensure their kids didn't become couch potatoes lying around all day on their cell phones and playing video games, rather than getting them involved in some sort of physical activity. The study also stated that obesity poses a complex challenge to recruitment, readiness, and retention within the U.S. Armed Forces. Duh, you think? The military for decades has been plentiful for highly qualified and physically fit applicants, and in the last few years, they have all but disappeared from the recruiting radar scope. In fact, I would hate to be a recruiter today. So what about all those military personnel who've been in the service already? Why are they suddenly becoming overweight? Is it a lack of military discipline or the hapless direction the military is taking that's emotionally affecting a lot of military personnel? The belief that they're serving no real purpose and just don't care? Perhaps they know their respective services won't do anything to them anyway. After all, can the services afford to discharge those folks in mass numbers based on what they have right now? Heck no, they can't. That would be political suicide for whatever administration was in office. The American Security Project also said the negative stigma that surrounds weight issues must be overcome. Obesity is a chronic disease, not a lapse in personal discipline. I think this goes much deeper than that. I believe it's the poor caliber of recruits. Perhaps too many recruits are what might be deemed as societal misfits with already physical and emotional problems to bear. Back during the Vietnam War, when the war was raging and numerous recruits were needed to fill the ranks, besides the draft for the troops into the military service, judges used to tell delinquent kids, jail or join the military. Well, currently I don't think jail is an option, but today's military is faced with the absolute bottom of the barrel that society has to offer. Warm bodies of kids with academic and physical problems are unfortunately the norm now. American society has been in a spiraling decline for years, and it's just now really catching up with the military. The senior military leadership likes to blame poor recruiting on the civilian job market, but according to a Marine Corps commandant, no, decreased trust in the military and shrinking pool of candidates are the leading factor for poor recruiting. Of course, he also spoke for the other services as well. The problem is definitely a Department of Defense-wide problem. The American Security Project also said identifying, diagnosing, and treating obesity within the soldiers at the front lines of our national defense may ultimately determine the long-term survival of the force. Folks, the military's recruiting plan is operating in the abyss. I hate to be a Daryl Downer, but I see no way ahead to correct this problem anytime soon. And especially as war looms around the globe and a real possibility of America being pulled in, the U.S. is in a really bad spot. If the U.S. is drawn into a 2.5 war scenario, where on earth will they get the military personnel to fight? This might be a stretch, but could this also lead to a more catastrophic and severe means to win a war? Would a last-ditch effort for a nuclear exchange be a more viable option? I don't know. What are your thoughts on where the military stands with recruiting and its possible effects down the road? Leave your comments below. Hey, if you found this video informative, please like, subscribe, share, and be sure to hit the notification bell for future videos. It really helps. Until next time, make sure all your takeoff and landings equal.